we could have life chats, you and I together right now. But I had a mini freak out last night. I think it's just the realization of what infertility and IVF has done to like our initial plans. I wanted to share that financial side of infertility. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And good morning, everybody. It is Dingle here, and welcome back to my channel. I hope y'all are doing super duper well. Y'all, it is pre 9 a.m. right now, and I am out of the house. I got ready. I got clean. I got acceptable. And I am at the arguably worst place, like the last place I would want to be right now. Might be a little dramatic, but I am at the dentist. And I think I've vlogged this before, actually. I think I've talked about this before. I would so much rather be at the doctor than the dentist. Like, not for a procedure. You guys have seen me when, like, I have to go under and stuff. Not the vibe, but for just like a regular checkup, or even for one of my fertility ultrasounds. Like, I would genuinely rather be at my fertility clinic right now for a transvaginal ultrasound than be in this building for the next hour with people poking around in my mouth. Like, I don't know if that's an unpopular opinion, but the dentist, to me, like, having people just in your mouth is so invasive to me. Having people down there is invasive, don't get me wrong. I think I'm just completely used to that at this point. I have never gotten used to the dentist. I have never gotten used to laying there and having people probe and like poke in your mouth, and also ask you questions like while they're doing that, and like fully expect an answer. My hygienist is so sweet. She is so sweet. Jack and I see the same hygienist. I actually called because Jack had his appointment on Wednesday, and today's Friday, so happy Friday. But I actually called on Wednesday to make sure that I had the same hygienist, because last time they did a switcheroo on me. I just wish that I booked her later in the day. Right now, I am running on 0 coffee, barely any water, 0 food, and I just feel like I can't function right now. But I was talking about how I did want to fix my sleep schedule in one of the previous vlogs, so I think this might be it. I went to bed at 2 a.m. and had to wake up at 8. It's not bad. 6 hours is not bad, but when you're used to like a full 8, I'm struggling right now. Jack made me like a full-on yogurt bowl before I left for like when I get back. But the thing is, I want to get grocery shopping out of the way on a Friday, because I used to do that. I went through a stint of doing that for a minute, and it feels so good to go into the weekend knowing I don't have to like go grocery shopping. But anyway, I digress. Since I'm at the dentist with no food or coffee, and then I want to go grocery shopping after this with no food or coffee, I think Dunkin' is in our future, my friends.
Hi, can I help you?
Hi there, could I please do a medium iced coffee with 3 caramel swirl and 2 milk?
2 milk, 3 caramel swirl, okay?
And then a plain bagel toasted with strawberry cream cheese.
Toasted strawberry, okay?
And that's it.
Alright,
thank you.
Yeah.
I know I complain like an old person when I complain about these things, but those 2 things at Dunkin' are $7.32, and I remember like getting like 5 different things, like 3 coffees, 2 bagels, like, and then donuts, of course, like as a family when I was like a teenager. Like, it wasn't even when I was tiny, and we could get that for like under $10, and now I'm spending the same for a coffee and a bagel. The prices are absolutely insane. I was just talking to my dentist about this. We were talking about Starbucks versus Dunkin'. Hold on, let's not talk to ourselves while we get our coffee.
I don't have any strawberry cream cheese. It's either veggie or plain.
Plain's fine, yeah.
She said plain, $7.32.
Okay.
That'll be right off.
Thank you.
There is that.
Thank you.
Put a straw in the bag.
Thank you, I appreciate it. But anyway, my dentist and I were talking about Dunkin' versus Starbucks and things like that. But more so, I was saying, you know, immediately I'm a Dunkin' girl, but I think it's because I have in my head the old Dunkin', like the everyman's coffee vibe of Dunkin'. Like you could go through the drive-thru at any given time and get like a coffee for $1. You know what I'm saying? And now I don't even think that exists on their menu. Just even a plain coffee, if you wanted one, it's not for $1. Oh my gosh, please go. Sir, I need to leave. I tried to eat my bagel on the way to Market Basket, but we both know that that probably wasn't the best choice to make, so I waited. But while I eat my breakfast, I had some unexpected, awesome, and much needed life chats with my dentist this morning. She's got that type of energy that even if you're not a morning person, you kind of have to get over that in a good way, because it's not that I don't want to talk to her, because she's just so sweet and like bubbly and everything, and then by the time you know it, because you want to talk to her and she's like so easy to talk to, you forget that you haven't had coffee until you get out of the dentist. And then I was like dying. But you know those conversations where it's like, wow, the timing of this conversation is just so weird, because I was just talking about this, or I was just thinking this, and then all of a sudden we have like a full-blown conversation with like someone you never expected to have, you know, those types of things. The universe is so strange like that, honestly. But where do I even start? I feel like I could just start in a million different directions. But I thought that we could have life chats, you and I, together right now. I think it all kind of kicked off with her asking if any of my medications or medical history changed from the last time. And the last time that I saw her, I was only at that time on like prenatal vitamins or something, but I wanted to let her know that some of that had changed, just in case it mattered, like with gum sensitivity or bleeding, like all the hormones and everything, right? So I let her know that it wasn't like a nosy question. She was just like, oh, what is that to treat? Like, so that she can be like aware of everything. I was like, oh, actually it's for fertility. And we just kind of got on the conversation, because I let her know I'm super open about it and I love talking about it and stuff. And I found that saying that out loud helps people who don't know a lot about fertility or are afraid to ask about it, because there's a whole taboo around it, right? It's something that you don't talk about, you don't ask about, but I just find that that opens them up to like ask questions and we can talk about it and stuff. So that was just super nice to talk about, because I feel like it's been a pause of me sharing and talking about things. So just to be able to express like what IVF is about, you know, and answer a couple questions she had, it was a really cool open conversation. And she's actually building a house right now, and so we actually got into talking about and kind of just like venting about unsolicited advice, or like people like putting their opinions on things that like you're doing in your life, because she has a bunch of family around her. So when she's picking out the floors or picking out the stain for the dining room table and like all of that stuff, of course, like all of her family has all these opinions and it drives her nuts. So that was super cool. But the weird parallel part of the conversation was kind of around like the house, and we were talking about all the expenses that come with the house. And then she actually asked us, because now she knows that like we're doing fertility treatments and stuff, like where we're at as far as like wanting to buy a house, if we're renting, do we have a house, that type of thing. And it's so strange that she like asked that and we went down that route, because literally last night, and I think this is important to like share this aspect, because I think a lot more couples experience this, and it's just something that like from the outside, when people see that a couple is going through IVF or fertility treatments, it's just not something at the forefront of everybody's minds. But I had a mini freak out last night, because even though Jack and I aren't actively looking for a house, we thought that this past year we might have started looking for a house, and then kind of midway through the year with how the market was going and everything, that's the main reason we were like, you know, if we can rent for another year, let's do that. So we signed on for another year at our current place, which we absolutely are in love with our current place. Like I literally think of moving from it and I get sad. Like I really love our home, but with the market and everything, and since we're not in a rush, we were like, you know what, let's hold off. And then the timing of that is actually super weird as well, because at the point when we decided that we were going to rent for another year, we had no idea that we would have to pay so much out of pocket for the second round of IVF. So that weirdly worked out, because my mini freak out in the kitchen last night, you know, I get these Zillow emails of just houses within the market, within a price price range that we may be thinking about within the next year or so. So in one of those emails that I got last night, I was like, oh, this house is like super cute. And I started like looking at it, and always on Zillow, it kind of like gives you like, oh, what your monthly payment would be. And I got a little curious because that monthly payment that it showed up on Zillow for the price range that I thought we were kind of looking in was weirdly super high. Like, it would be stressful to pay that monthly payment for us versus like our rent right now. And I was like, wait a second, like, is that really real? So I started like digging around and like looking up different mortgage calculators and stuff, and I was like, what the actual heck? So then it had me thinking about just like our year plan, and I always had in my mind that, yeah, like another year we get to save up, etc., etc. But then I realized, and I did have it in the back of my mind, but with this last IVF cycle that we had to pay completely out of pocket, like that's not a small dent. And I think I've talked about that before, and I do understand that, and I did understand that before, but I don't think it concretely hit me until I saw the mortgage calculator thing last night, and then I realized what dent this past cycle obviously made within our savings that would have gone towards a house. And I was just so upset because realizing that truly realistically that we most likely, you know, anything can happen. There's so many things that can happen in a year, right? But realistically, I would not be comfortable desperately looking for a house even within the next year. And realizing the reality of that and what IVF has done to that like timeline that we ourselves kind of set in our head was kind of sad to come to. But Jack is amazing, and we did end up mentally working through it. And at the end of the day, for us personally, we didn't want the house until we had the family, if that makes sense. We started trying in 2020 thinking that we were going to be pregnant within the next 6 months, and obviously we would have brought the baby home within that apartment and started looking for a house after, but that's just not how life ended up unfolding for us. And I almost just then said unfortunately, but it's not unfortunately, because there is no one way to do this life. I know I've expressed that before. And when we really peeled back the layers of why this situation was making me so upset, it wasn't because I was desperate to get out of our current apartment or living situation in order to get into a house. Yes, of course we want a house one day. A yard to ourselves would be amazing. And all of the other awesome stuff that comes with, you know, owning a house. With your little family, with a dog, you know, all of that stuff. We definitely have those dreams. But when we really peeled back the layers, it was just that our timeline was thrown off. The timeline that we have in our heads was thrown off. But it was a timeline that like we set for ourselves, and there's no way we could have predicted where we would be at with starting our family right now. And honestly, at the end of the day, we're so happy with where we live. We have no gripes about it. We have plenty of space for a baby. Like, there's so many good things about where we're at right now. There's no reason that we would need to rush to buy a house right now. I think it's just the realization of what infertility and IVF has done to like our initial plans for the house and the kid and the car and like all of that stuff. So fast forward to my conversation with my dentist this morning. She's building a house with her boyfriend, and so we were talking about how, you know, she's building a house and she's not married yet and all of this stuff, and just like how her life is also just not necessarily the most traditional in that way too. So I opened up about my mini freak out that I just had last night, and she actually shared that her sister, who's 35, just bought their first house because they loved renting so much. So that made me feel a lot better too, because I was just like in my head about these timelines, and it's like, oh, of course if you have a kid you need a house, but that's not necessarily the case, you know? It's only the case because that's what is normal. And then the next thing that she said was so comforting, and I love this perspective. She said, at the end of the day, if you're happy where you live, which you are, you love your apartment, then all that matters is your family. And honestly, right now, that's Jack and I, but soon it's gonna be a little one. And if we are all together and we are a unit, that's what really matters. You know, not the fact that we own a house or don't own a house, or the things that we have or anything like that. Because at the end of the day, and this is a thought that I had, this is what we want right now. You know, if a house was the thing that we wanted before doing any of this, we would have done that, but that's not what we want. we want to start our family. So yeah, I just think that that conversation was so weirdly timed. And I think the universe has such a weird way of doing that, and it just felt really good. But I think I wanted to share that financial side of infertility and just how big of an impact it can really have on like what a couple's future looked like in their minds on the financial side of things versus how it actually ends up going for a lot of couples out there. I'm just feeling really grateful for what we have right now, and I'm feeling really at peace with where we're at, and I can't wait to freaking get this baby, you guys. All right, I just got home and I have plenty of groceries to go through for a quick little grocery haul. Love grocery hauls. I love seeing what people buy for their food. When I got home, I discovered that my lovely husband has put in some laundry. He has just been on absolute fire lately. Like literally, I feel so bad. It's almost to a point where I'm not doing any household things. I do buy groceries and I like buying groceries, but he just does the laundry, he does the dishes, he does the cooking. And I asked him about it the other night and he had a really interesting perspective. Like, I'm like, why are you not letting me split the chores right now? Like, what is going on? So I think I'll have him kind of go into like his mentality of it, because literally he's just doing all this stuff. And I'm like, I'm not pregnant. And I'm like, we don't have a kid. And like why are you doing this? Like, it's nice, but it's not 50-50 right now. But anyways, he's on a work call right now, but why I know he put in laundry is it's like the most endearing thing ever. I come home and I've got 2 of my sweaters hanging like this in the living room to dry. We don't have a drying rack, so this itself isn't like a weird thing to like hang it on different things. But the first thing to note is that the things that he pulls from the washer before he puts in the dryer change every single time he does laundry. Like, he's not entirely sure what should go in and what shouldn't. So for example, this I've been putting in the dryer for years. This sweater I've been putting in the dryer for years and years and years, and it's like not an issue. I'm glad he took that one out. That's a Lulu one that I haven't dried yet, and I'm just not confident enough to like put it in the dryer, you know? So I'm glad he brought that out. But also look at the way he hung it. The arms. He like put them over the neck. Like, they'll dry like this too. And like if you fold them, then like those parts won't dry. So it's just so endearing. Let me undo this one as well. Oh my god. I can't wait to ask him about the mentality behind that one. It's so cute. But anyways, my friends, without further ado, let's do a weekly grocery haul. Protein pasta, Parmesan cheese, Great Northern beans, blueberries, red pepper, tomatoes, green chilies, potatoes, apples, some sort of spicy pepper, an onion, cream cheese, bananas, lettuce, celery, baby carrots, steak, frozen broccoli, corn, chicken broth, Fairlife protein shakes, oregano, thyme, tomato paste. Hi, darling.
Oh, hey, I should just take my food out of the oven. Remember that one time?
Yes, I do. Greek yogurt and Dave's Killer Good Seed bread.